I was born in Salt Lake City and June 1st, 1932. My dad was an electrical engineer with Bell Telephone, and Mom was a full-time mother. I graduated from Jordan High School. The reason I mention high school is because we have about 26 of us that still get together once a month and meet at Golden Corral or some of those places, and we get together and just enjoy one another's company. There's a whole lot of us still living.
From high school?
From high school, and I think it's interesting, I think because of our religion, a lot of it, and in fact most of it probably, and good genes, but there was 350 of a graduating class, and to my knowledge there's only 3 divorces. I played linebacker and fullback in football for Jordan. Played both ways, which we did in those days. I played a lot of baseball when I was a kid, played American Legion ball. And when we were 13 and 14 in Sandy, we moved out to Sandy by then, a group of us, there were 11 of us, or 9 of us, that formed our own softball and baseball team to compete in the Utah Recreational Championship games. And we won both. 2 years, we won hardball and I never had a coach. But we won the softball and baseball championship when we were 13, and when we were 14, we lost baseball in the championship game, but we won softball. I wanted to get in that thing. As kids, we'd go to the Movie-Tone movie. It was 12 cents for a ticket at the Burke Theater in Sandy, and one of them, they showed a waist gunner, a belly gunner in a B-17 fighting off German fighter planes. And then they said that the reason they were featuring him is he had lied about his age and he was only 16 years old. Wow, I can get in, So probably the only lie I ever told, but I tried to enlist, and some of them, the Army and the Marines, didn't believe me when I told them my age. So I went into the Navy recruiter and put down that I was 17. And so they needed to come out. I think they had suspicions too, but I was a pretty big kid when I was that age. In fact, I was taller than I am now at that age, and weighed about 170 pounds, so I had really my full growth at that time. But they come out to our home, and 2 recruiters. I can still see it in my mind's eye. And I asked my dad to come in. I thought he was probably tired of me being around, and he'd come in and maybe let me go and sign the paper. But they said, your son is 17, and because he's under 18, we need to get your approval and have you sign the paper. He said, he's only 14. I was really embarrassed, but I tried to get in, but I couldn't.
You did try. What's the most interesting, what career did you do most of your life?
I was, I worked at Kennecott. I worked at Kennecott for 10 years, right after high school. And, but I always worked 2 full-time jobs. There was a decade there where I didn't know, I can't identify the music or anything that happened in the 60s because I was working all the time. Constantly, and trying to stay awake when I had But I went to work for Bankers Life as an agent in Salt Lake, and after 4 months I was leaving everything. I just found something I was good at, and they offered me a management opportunity in Denver, which I took because I really wanted to move up. So I worked my way through all the chairs of management and retired as vice president. So I was there 30 years.
Wow. Okay. In life, any roads not taken that you've regretted?
Well, I just didn't. I worked so much that I didn't hardly know my kids. I mean, My wife was a full-time mother and took care of them, and the best she could, and she did a great job. But that's one of the things I missed. In retrospect, but I don't see any way we could have done it any other way. I don't have any regrets about it because I didn't have a choice. But when I see families in church that are so close, that's when I think about it.
What about the most interesting people that you've met?
Well, most of my association, my association, of course, now is the group we play tennis with, and any kind of sports activity. And people that I've enjoyed probably the most are people that are in competitive athletic events, because they're always up. They're up. You don't go to a marathon and run a marathon with a bunch of negative people. It's positive. And the same way with the group that I play with now. I've played, actually I was in one of the starters of the group, and we had about 16 of us that started back in 1994 is when we started the group. And right now what are left are Ron Johnson and myself. And the rest have come in during the years. And
Ron actually put it earlier than that.
Could have been.
You guys started to play.
Could have been.
And then the group started in the 90s, but he says you guys started to play in the 70s.
Well, no, it was not me, because I wasn't out here in the 70s.
Okay.
I was in, we lived in Miami for 30 years. So. And the other interesting and people that I've admired are church leaders. Right in my own ward right now, our high priest quorum is full of people with tremendous backgrounds, tremendous intellect, and great knowledge of the gospel. And prophets of the church, and President Reagan. I've always thought he was a wonderful president and person. And then I had a friend actually I worked for him in Bankers, my company. He was John Ronan. He was actually my mentor. He was a guy that when he walked in a room, everything stopped. He's probably the most handsome guy and the smoothest, most sophisticated guy I've ever met in my life, and a tremendous leader. So.
Do you have any daily routine, food, exercise?
Yeah, I should have my wife here because she knows my daily routine because it never changes. And now that I stopped, I was riding an average of 30 miles a week up until I was 81, and on the road biking, and a lot of 50 milers and a lot of centuries, a lot of 100-milers. Rode a 200-miler from Seattle to Portland on my 65th birthday, and I rode, and I'd ride my age every year. So I'd ride my birthday age, and when I was bishop in my ward, I got everybody riding, and they'd ride with me the good riders would ride with me on my birthday ride.
So do you still do that?
I stopped riding outside on the road. My wife would never say you gotta stop, but I could see it was really worrying her, and she just asked me if I would consider not riding on the road with all the people on the phones and everything, and so I hung it up, or I put it in my gym, so I still ride indoors. But on a daily routine, the days I don't play tennis, and I play tennis usually 2 days a week, sometimes 3. And I found something that's really easy on my body, and that's the elliptical. I have 2 ellipticals, and I ride an hour every day that I'm not playing tennis.
In the Huntsman's games, what have you won in the Huntsman's games?
Ron, I won. Let's see. I won three. I won 3 bronze medals in running. Ron and I won a bronze, and Ronnie Johnson. Randy Ayer and I won a bronze, and then I won a gold in singles when I was 79, which was I still can't believe it. I guess all the good tennis players stayed home, but I was lucky to do that.
What changes have been most interesting to you in the world since you were a kid?
Well, I was raised in the Depression, born in 1932, right when it was at its worst, and I never knew it because everybody was in the same boat. Everybody was poor. Everybody was struggling. Everything was rationed. We had tokens for riding the buses and things of that nature. They were selling war bonds, and it was the greatest generation. I think that's a lot to do with the group we are together. We were all raised in those times that were hard, and we appreciate. The successes we've had with the group are the success levels that each of us have attained in our lives is pretty incredible, I think. And I think that's a lot to do with our longevity. I think our attitudes are all positive and up because that's the way we were raised. We didn't keep buying things. We wore things out, and we're today as a selfish world. Not everybody, but so many are into so much as they're into themselves. The electronic world has taken people away from communication. They're all texting and talking on the phone, and no one is communicating as we did when we were younger. So I think it's a scary thing what's going on with our nation and with the people, and I don't know how it can be changed. Maybe we just need to learn to live with it and then improve upon it.
One of the things I've noticed about you, Dewey, you in particular, but with our entire group, is how well you maintain your sense of humor. I have never played a set of tennis with you that I haven't laughed.
Well, were you laughing at my game?
But how much of longevity and enthusiasm for life do you attribute to a sense of humor?
Attribute to what? A sense of humor. Oh, I think that's extremely important. If you can stay on the light side of things, and I think that keeps your attitude positive, keeps you up, keeps people that are around you up, and that's one of the few gifts that I was given. It was a sense of humor. I can literally, you say one sentence, I can think of 3 funny things to say about that, what you said.
And no one laughs harder at your jokes than you.
Absolutely. That's why it's...
What life message would you pass along?
I think that one of the things that most important things is to understand what your gift is or what your gifts are, and then pursue wherever those gifts can take you. And don't dwell on somebody else's gifts. Say, wow, isn't that neat that he has a gift like that? But I know in my life I was able to take a gift of my personality and do beyond anything I ever dreamed of. That I would have had. No, it isn't beyond it, because it was always my goal to get where I got. But it happened so fast, it was almost magical. And I think that's just taking what you've been given and maximize it, and find other people that don't have that have different gifts, and then use the synergy of that to be successful.
That's
So,
fantastic. Well, and that kind of answers my last question. Have you accomplished all that you had hoped for when you were a boy?
when I was a boy, I can't remember really thinking much about what I wanted to become. I wanted to become a great athlete. I wanted to become a great football player. And when I went right to work at Kennecott, which I loved once I got into the train service, when I was an engineer. But I honestly had never heard the word motivation, attitude, things of that nature until I got in the insurance business. And it was like a whole world opened up to me. So that's when my real goals, my real development started, when I was in my 20s, late 20s.
Any major regrets?
Well, I don't dwell on them, and I don't think about it because I can't do anything about it. But I've done more of that thought process. My oldest son died last year. He was 64. And I just wish I could have spent more time with him.
So, any other final words that you can think of that you'd like to
Keep a stiff upper lip. Keep moving on.
keep moving on?